All right, let's get into this. We are got to go on a pretty wild ride today. We're going to start with a simple problem, something you'd find in any office, and we're going to end with a vision that, well, literally spans the entire planet. It's a story all about scaling a single, really powerful idea.
So it all begins here, right in the trenches of business-to-business sales. A source from the pipeline flywheel points out that the whole system is, well, it's fundamentally broken. It's clunky, it's way too expensive, and it's just not reliable. And this is a headache that businesses feel every single day on their bottom line.
And this is where it all starts to get really, really interesting. We're going to take the core logic you'd need to fix that one little business problem, and we're going to ask a much, much bigger question. What else? What else could that exact same logic be used for?
And just like that, we're not talking about sales leads anymore, are we? We're talking about the biggest challenges we have as a species. Providing food and energy, managing resources on a global scale. This is the true scope of what we're unpacking today.
So how in the world do we get from here to there? Well, you have to start on the ground floor. It all begins by building a better engine, specifically a better engine for business. So let's look at that initial problem Poly was built to solve.
The core issue, as the pipeline flywheel lays it out, is basically a labor crisis. Just to get one solid lead, a company might need a researcher, a sales development rep, an SDR, an appointment setter, and a manager to try and juggle it all. It's a messy, expensive, and super inefficient process where just a little bit of bad coordination means a ton of lost opportunities.
And the cost? Oh, it is staggering. According to a RevOps collective cost analysis, just to hire and train one single SDR can set a company back $50,000. And that's before they've even made their first call. I mean, it's pretty clear this model just isn't sustainable.
So, here's the crucial insight. Just throwing more people at the problem is never going to fix it. The real solution, it's in completely rethinking how you coordinate all those moving parts. It's about working smarter, not just hiring harder.
All right, so let's check out the blueprint. Let's see how this new kind of coordination actually works. What's really under the hood of this engine?
Now this is what's so different. Look at the core philosophy here. Instead of you, the user, being just another cog in a bunch of different systems, this model puts you at the absolute center of everything. You are in control of the information flowing between your apps, your devices, the organizations you work with. It's a pretty radical shift in thinking.
And this shows off the tech that makes it all possible. It's a stack with multiple layers. At the very bottom, you've got a blockchain, which is like this ultra-secure, unchangeable ledger for all your data. Then, on top of that, you have deep learning. That's kind of like the brain, finding patterns and opportunities. And then finally, there's federated learning. Think of that as your privacy shield. It lets the system learn from your data without ever actually exposing it.
And a really key piece of this whole puzzle is a technology called Decentralized Identifiers, or DIDs. The easiest way to think about it is like a universal cell-phone ID for the internet. It lets you prove who you are without having to go through some central authority like a government or a big tech company. It's the secure foundation for everything.
Okay, so we have a really powerful engine for coordinating business stuff, but here it comes. This is the pivot. This is that moment where the tool reveals its potential to be something much, much bigger.
This right here, this is the Convergence Insight, the aha moment. Just look at the two workflows. On the left, you've got a standard business process. A customer asks a question, it gets classified, routed, and answered. Simple enough. On the right, a process for basic needs. A community has a need, resources are assessed, production is coordinated, and stuff gets distributed. The words are different, yeah, but the underlying logic, the mathematics of coordination, it is identical. It's the exact same problem with different labels. This is the key that unlocks everything else.
And this quote from the Polyconvergence source material just sums it up perfectly. At their core, both of these things are just optimization problems. You've got a bunch of different people involved, you've got limited resources, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen. The same engine that can optimize a sales pipeline can, in theory, optimize a food supply chain.
So let's take that insight and just run with it. Let's see what happens when this system scales up from making a business more efficient to tackling society's biggest and most complex challenges.
First up, our global food systems. I mean, talk about a challenge of immense complexity, right? This is a system where a little bit of inefficiency can be the difference between having plenty and having none.
Did you know that right now the food on your plate has traveled an average of 1,500 miles? It's a highly centralized, really fragile system. But imagine a coordination engine that could totally flip that paradigm, connecting local farmers directly to local consumers, creating transparent supply chains, and making the entire thing way more resilient.
Okay, next, let's look at energy. Our power grids today are also incredibly centralized and pretty vulnerable. A coordination platform could manage a distributed network of solar, wind, and batteries, intelligently sending power from a sunny area to a city that needs it, all in real time.
And that same logic applies to manufacturing. Think about a network of 3D printers and small modular factories. The system could coordinate this whole network to produce complex parts on demand right where they're needed. That means less waste, less shipping, and a much more agile way of making things.
We've gone from business to food to energy to manufacturing. So now let's look at the final destination, the North Star that's guiding this entire project.
The ultimate ambition here is to build a protocol that can coordinate resources not just in a city, not just for a country, but across the entire planet. It's a system designed to manage complexity at the level of our entire civilization.
And to really get your head around the sheer scale of that vision, just consider this one hypothetical example: terraforming the Sahara Desert. We're talking about one of the largest engineering projects in human history. It would require coordinating energy, water, materials, and labor from basically every corner of the globe.
And this isn't just science fiction, you know? The theoretical groundwork for this is actually being explored. As one source points out, it requires totally new mathematical tools, like hyperbolic geometry. It's a type of math that lets you map and manage these massive, constantly growing information spaces, like a planetary scale coordination system. The vision is, well, it's audacious, but it's rooted in some very serious theory.
And so we land here with this question from Murray Bookchan's The Ecology of Freedom. We started with a tool just to make businesses more efficient, but as we've seen, that same logic can be scaled up to address our most fundamental human needs. So what happens when we start designing our systems not just to optimize profit, but to unlock human potential? What becomes possible then?